All right. So, well, welcome. Thank you so much, Susan, for joining and for chatting with me today. We're going to talk about Guild School, the exciting annual miniatures, destination. It's like miniature school. It's like the best week of the year. And I wanted to have you on because I know you're new to Guild School. So I wanted to hear like a fresh perspective on Guild School, and also for people to hear if they want to also hear about it as a new, as a new student, what they can expect. And of course, we want to see what you made at Guild School. So let's get right to it. Were you a scholarship student or student? I forget.
I was not a scholarship student. I was just a student. So I moved to Nova Scotia in the fall. So I just drove down to Castine. So it was great. It was about, well, Google Maps tells me about 6.5 hours. It's longer than that when you stop for, to fill up on gas and coffee. And
right. Well, so let's start a little bit with that. Castine is this idyllic little New England coastal town. Was it your first time in Castine?
It was, yeah. It was.
Was it as lovely as you thought it was going to be?
It reminds me a lot of the Maritimes here, and a lot of what people find charming about that I've seen in other coastal towns in Canada, along the East Coast as well, because it's the same coast. Not that I'm downplaying the beauty of it or anything like this, but I can see how stark a contrast that would be to other places in the world.
Right.
Because people travel from all over the world, not just Canada and the US. We have people from Spain and India and the UK, and so it's like people are coming from everywhere. So it was beautiful. You do feel like you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, like you're on this whole other planet for a week. Like a miniatures planet. But it's very beautiful.
Isolated. Yeah.
So and we had great weather. The weather isn't always great, but the week we were there, the weather was really good.
Yeah. So this is the 40th anniversary of Guild School, which I understand. So this is a big marker. And so folks, you just mentioned hundreds of people come from around the world. It's a week-long session of miniature school. So you take class, you learn, you're amongst people in your own, people with common interests. So talk a little bit about what that was like walking into Guild School for the first time. What were you feeling? How was your first day before we get to the class?
Yeah, sure. I've been to a few different years of the Ontario Miniatures Gathering, so that helped to prepare me a little bit around, what it means to register and to be roommates with somebody you don't know, and to kind of go through the process of stuff. So that helped a bit, but it was like that, but on steroids. It was huge. I have a horrible sense of direction, and because I was driving in, I had trouble finding which building I was supposed to be in and stuff. I chatted with some locals and things, and finally ended up where I was supposed to be. But registration was good. I was a first year, so I meant to bring it over. It's in a different room, but my name tag is green because I'm a first year, so they call us greenies. So it's immediately apparent that we are new to the Guild School.
Right.
I think maybe not everybody is cognizant that just because we're new to the Guild School doesn't mean we're new to miniatures.
Right.
But it does denote that we are new to the Guild School. So people try to make an extra effort to ask how you're doing and are friendly to us. So that's helpful.
Yeah. I want to say two things. One is it's held at the Maine Maritime Academy. So you're really literally on a school campus. Folks, students are staying in the dorms. You're eating in the mess hall. And it's not really mess hall. It's very good food from my past experience. But you're really literally on a school campus. And the badge thing, it's all about sort of like, people wear the number of times the number of times that you go to Guild School, the number of years, you wear it as a badge of honor. So if you're there, your 60th year there, you wear it on your badge because it's a big thing. But it's also a big thing to be a first timer because we all remember what it was like the first time. So you get on campus, you found it, you found your place, but we actually should take a step back, which is, you had to choose your classes early on before you got to Guild School. So talk a little about the choices, how you made your choices, and talk a little bit about the number of hours per class and a little bit about how that works out.
Sure. So included in the cost of admission for the Guild School is 36 hours of instruction. You have a choice of classes that span different hour times. So you could have a 12-hour class, a 24-hour class, 36 and 48.
Yeah.
If you can pay a little extra and get 48 hours and kind of go beyond the 36. And then however you juggle those, you know, if you're working with just the 36, are you going to take one 36 class, or you're going to take 3 12-hour classes, you know, and then you need your first choices and your second choices. And it's like, I hadn't dealt with the scheduling quite in that way since I'd been in university, actually, like I'm like undergraduate, like where you're having to be like, okay, these are my required courses, and I need electives, and then I can
and then you're in class and you have to get to your next class, you have to prepare for your next class, and you are back in school for sure.
So picking the classes were tricky. So I did pay the bit extra to get 48 hours of classes, so I knew I had a bit more time to play with. I'm
glad you mentioned that, because I did that too when I went to guild school, because it only happens once a year, and you want to, for me, you want to maximize that time, you know, so pay the extra, you're taking class, use it, you know, you go to play somewhere else. This is serious. You're making miniatures, so use that time wisely. And if you've got 10 more hours of availability at the school, and you can afford it, of course, then do it. I say do it. All right. So what classes did you pick?
So I knew that I wanted to take something in woodworking, because I don't have a lot of experience with woodworking and using much for tools. So I did end up getting my first choices, which is nice, because all of my choices had some sort of wood or lathe kind of related course thrown into it. But I ended up in Pete and Pam BOORUM's Tavern Table and Chairs class, which again was my first choice of first choice. And and then I did poppies and cornflowers with Pia Becker, and a slip-covered chair with MARCIA McLean as well.
Yeah, those are really excellent choices. I mean, Pete and Pam are great. I don't know if you've ever taken class with them before, but they are great first. They're very patient. You know, you learn really great techniques, and they're just wonderful teachers. So, all right, so 3 pretty varied classes: wood and working with upholstery. MARCIA is excellent, and flowers. Really, really great, well-rounded choices. So why don't we let's see some of your treasures.
Sure.
And do you have a favorite? Which was your favorite class? I mean, talk a little bit about some of your challenges. Let's what was your favorite class?
I'll start from the order that I listed them in, I guess.
Okay.
And, so let's start with the Tavern Table and Chairs.
And I will be sharing photographs as we're talking about these, so people will know. You can see them close up, but let's see them.
I'll hold them up too a little bit, if I can get it to. So this is the table, made out of cherry wood, and like, I don't know that I've ever used this high quality wood on anything wooden I've made. He mills his own wood. We had to lathe the legs of the chair with a duplicator lathe, which I hadn't used any power tools, so. And I didn't realize how, like I mean, other than like a drill, like a hand a drill, like that's it. And so we were using table saws, we were using, you know, variable speed sanders, we were using the drill presses and lathes, and it was actually very, like, a lot of anxiety for me. Like, I didn't realize how much fear I had around using power tools. So it was like psychologically, I think probably my favorite class for that reason, that I was very challenged in like a psychological way to deal with these things that can, you know, chop a finger off or something if you're not careful. So with lathing the table legs, I broke my first 2 table legs. And then I lathed 3 successfully, broke another one, and then lathed 4th. And they had plenty of extras and you know, some tips and stuff, and just, you know, gave us the time and space.
And you learn from those tragedies. I mean, after you spend time, you know, lathing, you know, sculpting this table leg, you know, it breaks, but then you understand how to handle it, how the breaking points and things like that. So I see chairs.
Here's the chairs. This included the weaving of the seats the chair class did. Which I was finally in my wheelhouse after feeling very much like a fish out of water the entire class, and we had other people with carpentry background. The weaving, actually, because I do a lot with, you know, threads and textiles with knitting and crochet and embroidery and stuff. I was finally like, yes, something I can actually do. So I actually swapped some finishing details on the chair, like some of the what do you call it, like the clear finish and sort of stuff. Anyways, I helped another classmate do their chair weaving while they helped me.
Look at you, super student.
Because it was so frustrating for them. It was like, what the table legs for me was the weaving for them. So anyway, so I met lots of nice people too, which is great. So those are
I bet. So how many hours was that class? Was that your longest?
That was my longest class. So it would have been 24 hours.
So you did 24-hour class and 2 12-hour classes.
Yeah. My day was like, the morning was 2 different classes, and then the afternoon was all Pete BOORUM's class, and it was
every day
schedule for every day. Yeah,
you got a lot done in 24 hours with 2 chairs and a table. That's they made it very much like as paint by numbers as possible. And I'm not saying that to say that I didn't learn anything, but they set up their machines in such a way that you didn't have to reset all of the measurements and calibration just to cut a different length of leg or whatever. Like they had it very much like, like the gym circuit kind of situation. You can kind of they have it down to a science.
Those line stuff a little bit, so that helped with the time.
They know what they're doing, so yeah. Awesome. All right, so
and
the other class.
Yeah, poppies with Pia Becker. I'll just open up the front of the little.
Oh my God, those are lovely. Oh yeah, that was a 12-hour class.
That was a 12-hour class. Yeah, it was originally supposed to go on a mound of terrain, but she did give us the choice for a little bit extra to buy one of her 3D printed pots that she paints.
Oh, is that right? So they're 3D printed pots. Okay.
Yeah, and pot them instead, which was a better option for many of us who don't have garden spaces that we're thinking of to put them in. But the poppy petals are all hand cut.
All hand cut, not punched, hand cut.
No, the poppies are hand cut, and the cornflower leaves are punched, but they were like heavily modified by hand. So had cut little V's out of the end of every petal, and then wrapped the whole thing in a cone, and then 7 cones per flower. It was it goes to show how much you can do with just like patience, and some very basic materials, but. And learn some new. I've taken flowers before with Sandra Rubin, and she's also a really fantastic teacher. And so it was nice to see some of those techniques modified, like a little bit different style, and just like my brain starts to be like, how can I take the best of both of those techniques and start putting them together? And it gives me a lot to play with and stuff. So so it was a very, very cool class.
And the coloring as well. You painted each of the leaves.
The poppy leaves are a crepe paper. They were just that color. And
they were already colored?
Mm-hmm. And Pia had pre-painted the blue cornflowers punches. So, but we did paint like stems and some leaves and this kind of stuff. So,
beautiful. Very nice. Awesome. All right.
And then finally,
the third class, Marcia.
And it's not finished. All
right. We'll talk about
Marcia.
That.
She's like a darling person. Like
darling.
She was so much fun to be around. Oh my God.
Yeah.
At first, like she's got such a dry sense of humor at times, like almost like a little British, that it's like until you catch it, you're like, wait, is she joking?
Wait, did she just say something snide?
No, it's so funny. She's talking about going, she goes at shows and looks at how other people do upholstery in comparison to her techniques. And she said, I look at the couches and I see that they haven't done my techniques, at least not so far. And I was like, sofa. As in so far. And it was like, there was like this silence where everybody sort of processed whether they thought that was a joke or not.
Yeah.
But it's so good. But anyways, here's the, if my chair is not finished, it's lacking some piping.
All right, it looks
around most of the chair. You can see I started piping along here. But they're turning away from the light a little bit. Yeah, and she gave us the pillows. We didn't make the pillows, although that is offered as a seminar.
She gave you the pillows. Oh my God, I would take skill school just for that.
Yeah, right.
And were you able to choose the fabric?
Yeah, I chose one of her fabrics, and I was looking at like pictures online, so I just kind of chose and had honestly forgotten what I chose because there were so many beautiful options. So, but that was hers, and I'm glad I picked something with lines. Because it did give the added challenge of trying to keep things straight and going in the right direction, whereas people with plain prints didn't have that worry to them.
Yeah, look at you, ambitious. You're so ambitious. I love it.
There's a little bit of gapping back here, but it's the first try.
It's a great first try. But you built the chair as well. You start with pieces.
We built some of the pieces were pre-assembled, and so most of what we did was upholstering, and any building happened after things were upholstered and we had to assemble. So yeah, we weren't cutting like shapes from scratch. The frame is there's a little bit of wood. It's mostly gator board, and those it requires a certain amount of machinery to cut gator board, right? Because it's quite sturdy. So those pieces were pre-cut for us, which was good. They gave us more time to mess with the upholstery.
Yeah, and that's the idea. The idea is you're learning upholstery technique, and Marcia is just amazing at that.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
Well, I mean, I think you chose really, really well, and you did really, really well. I mean, I'm not surprised because you are a miniaturist already. I don't know. We didn't even mention this. We should have started saying that you were a contestant on Best in Miniature, which is the reality-based TV show, filmed up in Canada, but I wish it would go worldwide right now. I mean, please, it needs to go to other places.
And the few of us were at Guild School, did an evening seminar. There was a panel where we talked about the show, and we had some people out, but not a lot of people had seen the show because there's a lot of American miniaturists who were there at Guild School, and it's not available in the US. So yeah.
So what would you say is the absolute best part of this whole experience? Because it sounds like there's so many, but what would you point out as the best?
I really like the learning components, like aha moments all the time. These and all the instructors are so generous in sharing the knowledge that they have and answering questions and saying well, what if you did this instead? And they can be like, try that, didn't work, you know what I mean? And it saves you some time, so to have that expertise to draw off of is really amazing. So the learning experience is number one. Shortly behind is meeting new people, meeting people who I knew already from Instagram, but I hadn't met in person. Right. So matching people up with their sort of social media handles and this sort of stuff, and say, nice to put a face to the name and this sort of stuff. Yeah. It was great to meet new friends, meet virtual friends, and then meet people that I knew before. Of course, some of us from the show were there, and we're able to reunite a little bit. So that was fun to spend more time in a lower pressure situation. I met Beth Crum from the UK, the Great Tiny Design Challenge.
The Great Big Tiny Design Challenge.
Yeah, the Great Big Tiny Design. That's what. There's so many words in my brain like to scramble them. But her and her husband were there too, and she just became one of my close friends too. We hung out a lot, so it was great to just be around the people. And I heard the comment a lot, being around people where you don't need to explain what you do or why and why it's important. So often when you come across kind of the average non-miniaturist and you try to explain what you do, it's it can be a little complicated. But it's nice to know there's so many people who already get it.
Yeah, you already have that connection and that shared understanding and passion, and it just takes things to a whole nother level when you're amongst your people.
Yes,
you know, it just immediately have a connection based on that love of miniatures.
Yeah, exactly.
So would you, obviously you tell me, would you do it again?
Oh,
what advice would you give to some, people who've never been before?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm definitely gonna do it again. I'd like to go next year if I can. And being within driving distance, helps a lot. Not to have to do all the flights and this kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely want to go next year. I guess I didn't wrap my mind around how heavily scheduled the whole thing is, especially when you do pay to take the extra classes. The first class in the morning starts at 7:45, which means you have to be up, dressed, and have breakfast and be caffeinated or whatever before that. Yeah.
Right.
So, and then you go straight and there's often evening events and stuff. So it's I know of someone who did not pay for the extra courses because they don't do well and they're not a morning person at all. So they sorted it out so that they didn't have a class first thing in the morning, and then their first class started at 10 or whatever. So
and they were still able to get the 48 hours of class?
No. They were still doing 36. So that was People
Yeah,
who just do
48,
36, you end up with one kind of free period if you end up with 36 classes, right?
Just free period.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have to say, I would say just do it, because you only have this one chance a year. Just you'll have time to sleep when you get home.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah, and I just
and you have
just
three
be prepared.
Beautiful projects.
Absolutely, yeah. Be prepared to lose sleep. I guess.
Prepared to lose sleep, but I think the payoff is incredible, and it's just shown by what you have. You have 3 pieces. You walk away with 3 lovely pieces, and all this technology and education. It's just, and you had the social experience. I know exactly, because I've been, how wonderful it is. But the other great thing is you can now apply, and we didn't talk about this in your opening either, but you are a miniaturist. You make miniatures, you sell miniatures. I'm going to put all the links to your social media and your Etsy site in below, but everything you learn now can apply to the work that you do. Is that right? Talk a little bit about how that will impact what you do.
Sure. The first is that the projects that we do in the Guild School, there's sort of a blanket disclaimer that you're not to recreate the things you learn in class to sell. And I do know that I've taken classes from, at least one instructor from the Guild School, like on the virtual, and written her privately to have a conversation about what that means, in regards to her work. But the thing is that, like, upholstery is upholstery. Like, learning how to get fabric around a corner so that it doesn't, bunch up and pucker on you is the same whether the chair is slip covered, whether it's the most modern couches or the oldest, windback chairs, or whatever you're trying to make. Knowing these basic skills are going to apply, like, for sure.
Right, and that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about the skills, the education, and applying that to you as an artist, because as an artist, you want to do your own thing anyway. But yeah, we can spend a whole day talking about, ethics of taking classes and whatever. But the good thing is you have all this new knowledge that you can take away and incorporate into your own work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you do your own YouTube tutorials. Is that right too? Do you have a YouTube channel?
I have been, I've been broaching into that topic. I got busy in the spring and flagged a little on the YouTube channels, but I would like to do more tutorials, especially the things that I'm kind of got a good handle on. Like I'm always, it's hard to, you're always learning yourself, right? So it's like, learning, taking a grasp of something, teaching it, learning from others to teaching it. It's all a balance, right? But yeah, the things I have a pretty good grasp on, I would love to do more tutorials and
awesome.
And help out miniaturists and any miniaturists.
Right. Yeah. So you're not going far. That's good. So we will keep tabs on all of what you're doing, and we'll be following you and looking ahead. Like I said, I'll be putting all of your links in the section below. So people can follow you and see what you're doing. But thank you for spending this time and giving us an update on Guild School. I'm glad we're able to do this. And thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, and if anyone's on the fence, do come, please. And if you do come, find me and say hi.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Yes, you too.
All right, bye.